Hey guys, I a few days ago I was driving along in a little car and was listening to Rush Limbaugh, which I very rarely do, but it was on and I was listening, and he wanted to start in on one of his diatribes about global warming, and he started it with a report that he had gotten from a website, which is actually a pretty interesting website called physorg.com, physorg.com, and it was a report that he said the scientists concluded that the Earth shines. And so, I'm with my astronomy background, I was intrigued, to say the least. So I don't think he actually read the article. But it's what he reported next is very similar to other things that I've heard in the media in general. And that is when they talk about subjects that I know something about or a lot about, like astronomical things, and they get it wrong or they misinterpret it, for me, I have to then doubt everything they're reporting, because they are not an expert on really much of anything. They're just kind of blowing hot air or reading a script. Especially, when it comes to scientific things, people in the media just, it's way above their heads. And it's not that they're dumb or anything, it's just that they're ignorant. And they totally misreport and misinterpret things. Anyway, he described in this report that scientists have observed neutrinos coming out of the sun. That's how he pronounced it, neutrinos coming out of the sun, and have concluded that the sun shines. Now, I read the report, and I also know about this work that's been going on for a long time. Scientists for many, many years have been trying to observe solar neutrinos, not neutrinos, neutrinos. Strike number one. Solar neutrinos. Not to discover the fact that the sun shines, but if you can observe neutrinos coming from the sun, these particles, which theoretically have no mass at all, and billions of them are passing through you right now as we speak per second, if you can actually observe neutrinos being generated in the sun, what you're doing is you're actually observing, you're seeing the inner core, the inside of the sun, where the nuclear fusion is actually taking place. If you look at the equations for nuclear fusion, among many other particles that are generated, are neutrinos. And so this is happening right in the core, right in the center of the sun. That's where all of this fusion is happening. And so if you can observe these neutrinos in the core of the sun, what you're doing is you're seeing the core of the sun. And that's very interesting, because you can understand how the sun works, how stars work. It gets into particle physics, it gets into cosmology, it gets into all kinds of things. So it's a big deal. it's a big deal to have observed finally a neutrino that came from the sun, that was generated in the sun, because theoretically it was predicted that these things come out, but nobody had seen them before because they're so hard to observe, because they go through everything. So it's just a matter of luck that a neutrino is actually detected, and there's a whole science in how these things are detected as well. There are detectors buried miles and miles and miles below the Earth's surface, and then there are these big elaborate gizmos to actually detect the effects of a neutrino interacting with matter. You can't actually see or observe the neutrino itself. It's when the neutrino interacts with a piece of matter, a certain, which I mean, it's a photon of some sort, but I'm not quite sure what energy state we're talking about in terms of the photon. But anyway, so, you know, when these people who claim to, you know, be on top of things and know what they're talking about, and that, you know, millions of people listen to and get their information from, when they're this misinformed and this ignorant, for me, it just calls into question every single word coming out of their mouth.